Thank you everyone for coming to the Awake and Thriving podcast. Today we have with us once again, Julie E. She is a registered dietitian with over 30 years of experience. She has an international practice of parents, kids, pets, and celebrity athletes. Thank you, Julie, for being back with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
If you didn't tune into the last podcast, you can just go ahead. I think it's about 2 weeks ago and check back into that. She had a lot of great info. That's why we went ahead and brought her back. That podcast, we went over some anti-aging, unseen traumas that relate to disease, hormones, and stress. And today we have quite a few things to go over, and we had discussed it previously. So first off, do we want to start off with maybe energy healing?
Sure. I think that energy healing, well, first of all, energy medicine is the future of medicine. So if anyone is denying it or blocking it or feeling like energy doesn't make sense at all, then they should stop using electricity and they should never get an EKG, because those are all completely based on energy. Yeah. So everyone here listening, everyone on the planet is using energy all the time. We learn about energy in high school or junior high. Energy is always in motion. It's never created or destroyed. So everything is energy. A yawn is when energy is moving, and that's why it's contagious. Mm-hmm. It's energy is moving and the person next to you feels it moving and it moves through them. So energy medicine really is the future of medicine. And I think that this is the perfect time to just talk about that, because regular medicine is failing so many people. I can't count the number of people that regular medicine has failed. So when it comes to energy healing and energy work, every practitioner is different. Everyone's got a little take. There's really no, this is the way it's done, because energy is subjective. It's how you feel. There are some people that are like, I'm sensitive to the cell phone, and some people are sensitive to different foods they eat. You know what's going on in your body, and you are the only person that lives in your body. So if this energy healer works for you, but that one doesn't, that's just luck that you find the one that works for you. And I think you should stick with it for a period of time. I personally have at least 4 different energy healers that I go to, plus I do my own, and everyone's got a different thing. And it's, what do I need this month, or what do I need now in my life? And that's what I work with. But they don't screen for this at different medical schools, or, there's no diploma that everyone that went to Harvard Energy School is going to be the same. But it's not like that for medical doctors either. I mean, ask yourself, do you have any idea where your doctor went to medical school? How about your dentist? Were they first in their class or last in their class? But we've just been brainwashed to accept that they are the norm and the only. And, Little House on the Prairie dates back a long time ago, and they used earth things. They used earth herbs. They were eventually excited to have medicines, but medicine has completely changed, and it's so not natural now, and it's so toxic, and that's our system. So it's kind of like anything else. You kind of go full circle. So we're going full circle back to, what do I feel? And, what's going on in my body? How many people watching this have gone to the doctor for stomach pain or head pain or neck pain, and they cannot find anything wrong with you, and they've ran every single lab test? Yeah. Because it's not a medical condition. It's an energetic condition, or an emotional condition, or a nutrient deficiency, or an environmental toxin that's creating your problem. So to talk about energy is so vague and so broad all at the same time. I could go on, but I think that maybe I gave you sort of a summary and a good explanation for that.
Yeah, definitely. Because I have a friend who had a seizure just randomly, has no history, no past medical history, nothing. He went in and saw a neurologist, saw all kinds of physicians to get diagnosed with whatever gave him that seizure. They never found out. They still to this day have no idea why he had that seizure. And he's 42. He's in good health. No reasons at all.
Right. And that comment, that sentence you just said, he's in good health, How many people know somebody that was an athlete and healthy and runners and ate really organic, clean, healthy, and had a heart attack and died? I mean, I think we all know that person. And that just tells you that medicine is not everything. And that just tells you that our diagnostic system is not everything. And so there's something else besides what the medical society says, you
Yeah.
know, and it, like I said, it's energy, it could be deficiency, toxicity, it could be that your friend could have hit his tailbone snowboarding or skateboarding a couple of weeks prior, or banged his head, and it triggered some weird energetic response in the body and it led to a seizure. Anything is possible as far as I'm concerned.
Wow. Yeah. And unfortunately, he's not quite ready to look at alternative medicine. So
Right.
he's just perpetually scared that he's going to have another seizure one day because he's just following what the neurologists told him, which is basically good luck. We don't know what
Right.
happened to you, and we can't tell you how to prevent it in the future.
And that is unfortunately sad and true for our current medical system. Maybe what one of the silver linings that will come out of this pandemic is that people will wake up and realize that there's something else besides the medical doctor, because the medical system is failing, and this is pointing it out a lot more. It's corrupt, and it's failing, and there are doctors and nurses saying negative things, and there are doctors and nurses lying. And so
Yeah.
we don't know. And, you know, you have your own health and your own life in your hands. Even the clients that I work with, when I ask them, well, what did your lab test say? They're like, oh, should I get a copy? Like, yes, you should get a copy. It's your life. You should have a copy of everything. Every test and everything I do with you, save. Everything we diagnose, you save, because it's your story. It's your body, and everything counts. And nothing, I don't blink at anything. You know, in terms of lab tests, the doctors give people, they get the complete blood count or the blood panel, and they hand it back and go, you're fine. And when they bring it to me, I'm like, well, there are two things out of range to their ranges, but the medical ranges are so skewed right now too. Just even body weight. If we just look at body weight, normal weight, overweight, and obese, there's a range of like 80 pounds. Like, you know, it's so, and maybe I'm exaggerating. I haven't looked at those numbers in a while, but like you could be normal weight and let's say be from like 90 to 140 or 150 pounds. Overweight is like 150 to 210 or 220, depending on your height, you know, and obese is like 220 to 320. Like the ranges like don't even make any sense. It's like, it includes everything, and it's just not diagnostic enough. So medical lab testing from a regular doctor, to me, is only if you actually have a full-blown condition will a medical doctor say that you have it. But energy testing that I do diagnoses you before you have that condition, when you start to have things breaking down and not feeling good. And the medical tests that we use here are just not sensitive enough to detect deficiencies and toxicities and things like precursors to a disease or a condition. There are many, many laboratories across the United States, at least 6 that I could think of right now that I use, that do offer sensitive lab tests. But guess what? Most of your medical doctors don't use them or refuse to use them.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, you almost can't blame them, because they are trained in one way, and probably the pharmaceutical industry sponsors their college or university, and they are trained in medicine and disease. They are not trained in health and fixing it.
Yes.
And so to use a lab test that is diagnostic goes against the medical system.
Yeah.
But it's all about figuring out what's going on in your body. And so I use lab tests often. I do energy testing one-on-one in the office, where your body tells us a lot of information. And then we can also order saliva, stool, urine, and blood tests that are more diagnostic. For example, there's a lab test that I use that includes blood, saliva, and urine, and it covers a lot of the body. So you have 12 systems in your body, the endocrine system, the digestive system, the bones. So there's systems. And that test is broken down by system. So it red flags, if I do that particular test, it looks at about 6 different systems, and I can figure out which system has the most issues, where things are out of range. And then we can put our attention on that system and start to hone in and focus what's really going on. Whereas a medical lab test, I've been to courses where we've gone over blood work many, many, many times because I really wanted to learn it. And it's like, if this is high, this is low, and that's high, then you have a condition. But what about if this is high or this is low? They're still not in the range. Like, but the doctor will not even tell you a thing. He hands you the papers and goes, you're fine.
Yeah.
And I have been taught to have optimal ranges. So my ranges are more narrow. So I'll give you an example. Testosterone. A healthy testosterone can be from 20 to 500.
Oh.
So, you know, if somebody's 25, they're in the normal range, but like, do you want to be that person?
No.
I don't know any guys that want to be at 25. They probably want to be closer to 400. Like, they want their testosterone. So the regular medical tests and the ranges that they use are too broad to diagnose anything. But when you use optimal levels, which I do, the range is probably from like 50 to 100. And if you're at a range, you're either high or low. It's a much smaller range. I have been, early on in my career, I really wanted to learn about lab tests, and they don't teach it a lot in school. So I had to go to a bunch of different conferences, and I compiled my own form that's like 30 pages long of different lab tests and what the optimal ranges are and what it means when you're low or high. So if a patient comes in and brings me their lab test, I can look at it with a fine-tooth comb. And whereas their medical doctor would say, you're fine, you have one thing out of range, I might find 6 things going on with this person based on that lab test. So it depends on who you're talking to, what they come up with, right? You talk to your medical doctor, they have this. You talk to your spiritual person, they're going to tell you that. You talk to your friend and they're going to tell you something else, like you're to this or you're to that, you know? So your sleep, your emotional body, your physical body, your nutrition, is all of those create who you are. So you really do need to look at the whole picture. And that is technically the definition of holistic health, and holistic medicine is looking at every part of it. It's not just your lab, it's not just your blood, because blood tests are one point in time. It's not, you don't know that. How do we know that? Do they ever do anyone's lab test 4 days in a row to see if it's the same every day, or did they just do one? You know, so how do we really know that I might not have slept well last night, and I might have had a lot of stress yesterday, and I'm basing my whole world on this one lab test. So I just don't think it's the end all be all. It's just another piece of the puzzle to use to understand myself.
And what I find interesting about the lab work, because I have a physical next week as well. And I spoke to my PCP yesterday, and I remember I tried to ask, I was like, can you get cortisol levels on there, any of my hormone levels? And she was like, no, that's not needed for a physical. And I was like, so you're just texting like my WBC, my RBCs, my LFTs. You're not looking at any of my hormone levels at all. And she's like, no, that's just not part of a physical. You'll have to have an issue and get sent to an endocrinologist in order to have any of those labs actually paid for by my insurance. And that just blows me away, that you have to have an issue in Western medicine to get those tests done and paid for. Otherwise, it's all out of pocket.
Right. I pay for everything out of pocket. I don't succumb to I don't use the medical system at all. I cut myself earlier in the year, and it was a broken glass. It was very quick and spontaneous. I tried to heal it myself for a day, and then I was like, be smart and go get some stitches. Yeah. But that was the first time I was in a medical facility in 15 years. To me, you know, my health is health. Once you get in the medical system, you know, and they had to use some kind of antibiotic before they gave the stitches, and they probably wanted me to send me with a pain medicine. And all it takes is the initiation and someone's on pain medicine, and then suddenly they have stomach problems, and then they have high cholesterol, and then they have another problem. And, it's like the downward spiral of a person, and it's subtle. You don't even realize it can happen to you. But it can. And so I don't use it. If I want to order a blood test, I order it myself. I use non-traditional labs. And it is sad, but and people are so used to having everything paid for by their insurance. A lot of people refuse to pay out of pocket for the tests, but those are the tests that are diagnostic. Those are the tests that will give you information. If your hormones are off, then it's usually not the cause, but it's a side effect of something going on in your body. Mm-hmm. And it will end up being the cause of needing thyroid medicine or needing anti-anxiety or depression medicine, because you end up so fatigued that you're just like exhausted, or something will go on that will make you end up needing a pharma medicine. But how sad that they don't even want to test that for you when you're a female, you've had a child, you're an adult, and your hormones directly affect your skin, your mind, your energy, your bowels, and everything else, but they just don't want to pay for it. I will tell you, though, that for hormones, the Cadillac of the test is a saliva test. So the blood doesn't even really tell you anything. It's one point in time. It's not, I do saliva tests for 24 hours. So we could see what things are like in your hormones over the course of the day, because the 8 a.m. is going to be different than the 5 p.m.
Interesting. Okay. I didn't know that. Yet another thing I didn't know about hormones, because I can't even get to that point, because eventually I'm going to have to pay out of pocket, because I don't want to wait till I have an issue and get sent to an endocrinologist.
What happened to prevention? Aren't we supposed to be, haven't we been talking about prevention for years? Why are they not there yet? I don't get it, but they're not.
And I think
there are medical doctors that are there. So
yes.
You either have to keep doctor hunting or you just have to pull out.
Yeah. And there are some Western medicine physicians I've spoken to that are actually acknowledging the shortcomings or the gap in knowledge that they don't have, but there's still the vast majority that there's this ego that they don't want to let go, that they don't know some things. And that's okay. We're human. They're not God. We're not Google. It's okay. But most of the world that is not in the healthcare field don't realize that yet, unfortunately.
Right. So. And it's because the medical doctors don't accept it. And I don't know what the number would be, but I'm going to say it's at least 75 to 85% of medical doctors don't accept energy or nutrition. It's like foo-foo or whatever it is to them. Yeah. But I don't understand how it's so missed in medical school. Like, you are what you eat. Like,
well, they only get like one nutrition course, I think, right?
When I was in my master's of nutrition, there was a medical school combined with it, and they were the first school to have a one course in nutrition. And that was in 1996. So it's quite a while, but I'm telling you, most of these universities do not teach nutrition. And if they do, it's really basic. The doctors are too busy. And doctors that get it, the younger doctors, they tell people to work with a nutritionist, or they tell people to seek something out, but they're still not thinking energy, and they're still not thinking vitamins. They're like, and because of more governmental stuff, like the vitamins say things on the label like not approved by the FDA, and that scares people away. And as soon as one of my clients brings those vitamins to their medical doctor, they, depending on the power of that doctor, that person is scared and does not take those supplements that I give them. So, and there is a difference among supplements 100%, but there's a difference among food, and there's a difference among cars, and there's a difference among makeup. Everything there's a cheap quality and a great quality, but it's just not acknowledged. And so it's really the shortcoming. And the sad thing is it falls on a lot of people that get scared out of doing something that's healthy for themselves. They get convinced otherwise, because we are truly brainwashed to believe that doctors know everything.
That is 1,000%, 1,000,000% true. And I feel like we're awaking to a new time. and there's a new frontier occurring right now with energy medicine, all of that. I think it's going to take a while. We're just like the front runners, but it's going to probably take another, I hate to say it, like a good 15, 20 years in order for it to really catch on, because the Western medicine physicians, they're not going to accept, there's not a certificate you can get and just do it. Like anybody can do it. They're just like, they're not going to be able to grasp that. It's not going to make sense to them.
Well, I think that, with the coronavirus and what's happening out there, a lot of people are saying, like the healers are saying, we're going to look back at this time and we're not going to remember that it was a virus. We're going to remember that it was the greatest awakening ever.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and that almost makes me choke up and teary-eyed. I hope that's true. And I would like to put all of our attention and energy into that, because that's what we need. We need a complete shift in our structure, and you kind of have to like break it apart to make that big of a change. And then, the little other pieces though, the naysayers, like they're trying to take away homeopathy altogether. Like the FDA and the FTC, like they don't want, like there are a lot of reasons people don't want you healthy, and they are really truly like trying to make it harder for you to take health stuff. We are in California right now, and Prop 65 is in full force. Do you know what that is? Does
No,
anyone
please tell me.
know what that is? It's Proposition 65, and I just recommend everyone do a quick search so you get the full information of what it is. And if you email my office, we can send it to you. But it basically said what it is it's another way to confuse people. And what it is another way to convince people that the healthy thing they're about to do is bad for them. So in the state of California, they have to disclose that this may cause cancer or harm you if you take it before you buy it. And what this is all the vitamins behind me, they all have a label that says that. To sell them in California, like not every single one, but there's a lot of ingredients, like thousands of ingredients. If that ingredient is in there, it has to say that. And I remember my first occurrence or instance with Prop 65 was buying goji berries. I bought goji berries on a website where I bought snacks from numerous times, and Prop 65 was just passed. And I had to like jump through hurdles and answer all these approval questions in order to buy the goji berries. And when the goji berries arrived and you read the ingredients list, it had one ingredient, goji berries. But I had to accept Prop 65 that this may harm me. We sell flaxseed meal here from this one specific brand that I love. I had to, for a very short period of time, buy it and have it shipped to my friend's house on the East Coast. And then she would ship it to me because we couldn't buy it because of Prop 65. The pool at the gym where I swim, which is a saltwater pool, has a sign that says swimming in this pool may cause cancer. This is Prop 65. So it's just another way to freak people out. That's something that they're going to do that's out of the norm, a little different. Goji berries kind of just came on the scene in the last 5 or 7 years. Someone tells you to eat them and you go to buy them and you're like, oh my God, this may cause cancer. Why would I want to buy those? And half the people run the other direction. And just, how many of those happen till you start to move away from this holistic, non-traditional stuff and run back to everything you knew as a kid.
Yeah, which is pharmaceuticals for most of us, because that's what was always on TV. There's tons of commercials. That's not outlawed in America, unlike other countries where they can't advertise to people. But if you listen to the side effects, there's tons of side effects for pharmaceuticals, but it's so indoctrinated into our society that that's just okay for everybody.
Right. So when you go get a prescription, don't they give you like a list this long of like side effects? Like it's a whole thing with the pharmacy, and they're working their way up there with like vitamins, like, oh, this can do this to you and this can do that to you. And some trainer, when I lived in New York City, there was a trainer that gave supplements to a woman that he was working with, and she was postpartum. She just delivered a baby, and he told her to take this to burn fat. Well, she died. You know what? So these things happen, but And so it was this whole big thing for a couple of years about supplements. They just had such a bad rap. And the truth is that it was probably the product. The guy didn't check in on his female client because he's a personal trainer. He's like, oh, let's burn fat and let's give her this and let's give her that.
Yeah.
And he didn't know she had blood pressure issues and she had other stuff. And so, you know, again, there we go. Personal trainers giving medical advice. That's where we should draw the line,
Yeah.
not at supplements. But so enough of these things happen and people run the other direction. When the truth is, this email came into my inbox yesterday that said 1/3 of all deaths are from medical mistakes.
Yes, and we are the taxpayers' money actually pay out to the victims of pharmaceutical deaths, which I don't think that's widely known.
Right. And so this is, you know, so fast forward into what we're living in right now with this virus and, you know, all the fear that's being instilled in people all across the planet. And their death rate is smaller than the death rate from tuberculosis and the death rate from the flu annually. And we don't destroy the economy for that. So you have to start to think for yourself and open your mind as to why would that be? And ask questions. And the same goes true when it comes to your health. Like there are more people suffering from anxiety and causing suicide right now than there are people dying from the coronavirus. It's anyway, we can go into
We
a
can
tangent
go
with
on.
that. The point is really that energy medicine works. Non-traditional things are just as valid as traditional lab testing and traditional work. If you visit an energy practitioner and you don't have a fantastic experience, don't write it off. Try someone different, try something different. Personally, I don't get that much out of a Reiki session. And people talk, they're like, oh, what do you think about Reiki? I'm like, you know, I don't really feel anything from it. But other people are like, oh my gosh, that was phenomenal. I'm just way more advanced. Like Reiki is like, you know, kindergarten, and I'm in like high school or college in energy. So it
Yeah.
doesn't, or, you know, it depends on the practitioner and their skills. It depends on where I'm at that day. But you are the only one that lives in your body, and just be willing to try things. So either set aside a budget for yourself financially or for time. I'm going to try one new thing a month, or I'm going to spend $175 a month on some new funky session of sorts and see if I feel better after. And if you poop more, you sleep better, you have more clarity and more focus, it worked.
Yeah.
And you either use the same type of healer again, or you try something different. There's plenty out there. I could probably name 15 to 20 different types of energy work right now that I think are all phenomenal. But, you know, you had some good teachers and some bad teachers, and some friends you love and some friends you really don't like that much. You're going to have different healers. It's just part of the deal.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that, because I've tried Reiki as well, and I didn't get much from it, but I've actually saw an acupuncturist who did energy healing. That was her combination, and it was amazing. Like the combination of acupuncture and energy healing was phenomenal for me.
There you go. And I've had similar results, and I've had acupuncture that I felt did nothing. And then I had acupuncture with energy healing where I was like, I went back. I'm like, yeah, let me do something. And I think that creating a budget for yourself financially, that like, it's okay to spend money on me because I love myself. The more money you and time you spend on yourself, the less time you're going to have to spend running to doctors. So you might think that it's money you're spending, but time is money in my mind. And the amount of people that I know that run to the doctor and they go to this doctor and that doctor and that doctor, and they do this test, that test, that test, that test, they can't figure out anything that's wrong with them. Just go get a healing session and just save yourself some time and you'll feel better.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Like 1,000%. I hope from all of the episodes that I have been publishing and people I've been interviewing, my hope is they try one of those modalities, at least one. Like that would be an accomplishment in itself for me.
Right. And it's dipping your toe in something you're not comfortable with. And whenever I think of that, it reminds me that I used to drop my child off at classes and events and things where he didn't know anybody and he just went in and had a great time. Why are we so afraid to try something new? Like,
Yeah.
you know, the kid goes to a birthday party at Gymboree or whatever it's called, and Like, by the time they're 7 or 8, you're just like dropping them off, and they don't really know everybody. Or you drop them off at preschool and you tell them you have to stay and you leave, and they're like, oh my God, like it's brand new for them. Why can't we try something new and be okay with it? It's not a big deal.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. Okay, so I know we talked about the energy healing. I can go on and on about that. And we talked about a little bit before you came on about like kind of arthritis and the ability, are we still, if our biofield is good, we can still heal from stuff like that? I know
Yeah.
I'm kind of chopping this up.
No, that's good. We were talking about biofeedback. You had asked me before we went on the air.
Yeah.
So I'll just talk about that for a minute. So
Okay.
I was introduced to biofeedback like 25 years ago, and it was a machine, a computerized thing, and you put a little thing on your finger, and you got a picture of your aura, like purples and blues and reds, and you saw where you were weak and where you were strong. And it was like, weak or strong was like, is my field this big or is it this big?
Yeah.
And so I don't know if biofeedback is exactly the same as that anymore, because I think everything has its own story. Depends on the person using it, how they do it. But in general, some people have heard the word aura. Some people think of personal space, and some people think of energy field. It's the space around you. It's the space around you. And you know what you feel like when people are like too close to you. Like there's something about it. It's like, you can come close to me, but you like, so keep that in mind. And, biofeedback, I think what they do is they test you, and then they run some energy through the machine. Like they might find that you're weak in your third chakra or around your heart or around your lungs, and they send energy to that part of you. There's so many phenomenal computer systems that do really, really cool stuff. There's, I can think of one called the Rasha. There's the AO scanner. There's CyberScan. There's so many, and some of these machines are like 30,000, some are like $80,000. They all work. I've tried many of them, and I want every single one of them, but it's based on energy, and they can type in your symptoms or which parts of your body, and they can send different kinds of wavelengths or frequencies or energies to heal that. So I believe that's probably what today's biofeedback is like. The biofield is a term that I use every day in my practice. And the biofield is a scientific term. And it's been in textbooks since like the 1950s. Your biofield is the same thing as your aura. It's like your space around you. Mm-hmm. And think of like the boy in a bubble, right? So it's like you're in this bubble, you're in this like balloon, and the balloon is fully inflated. But when you have holes in your biofield, think of it like leaky gut syndrome. So when the biofield is intact, meaning fully present, healing is limitless. Anything is possible. You can get rid of anything. But when the biofield has holes in it is when we end up with problems. So a lot of people don't realize, they don't even think about their biofield. First of all, no one knows what that is until I tell them. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people think he's healthy, he takes vitamins, he exercises, but they don't realize that this person works, for example, there's a craft and fabric store, which I don't even know if it's open, but when it is open, it has like that red scanner. It has like a machine that I'm put my hands up here. It has like a little thing here, and all the checkout cashier people, they run all your stuff basically right past them. Basically, so this thing that's here that has that red scanner on it, at the supermarket, they scan your food. This scanner is literally on the large intestine or the ovary or the testes point for hours every day, sending radiation, weakening the area. So that person's biofield is going to be way off. And that person most likely will end up with cancer in 5 or 15 years, because that was strong enough for the whole time they had their job to just destroy that area. But if that person went to the beach every day after work or did energy work and brought their biofield back intact, then they're going to have a different story. And so whether it's biofeedback or Reiki or acupuncture, or we use lasers, there's breathing techniques, people that do breath work or Kundalini, like all of those kinds of things can restore the energy field or the biofield. It's just that the average person isn't doing that. And a lot of people are starting to do that when they start to break down and have health problems and no one can figure out what's wrong with them. And sometimes they recover and other times they don't. But the biofield, in my world, in my practice, when your biofield is intact, healing is limitless. And one of the number one destroyers of the biofield, can you guess what it might be? If you could
I think
even,
I know the answer now.
what did we talk about it? What is it?
Is it your phone?
Yes, it's the phone, the Wi-Fi, your laptop, your tablet. It's the new 5G. It's all of that stuff. It's like sending signals, zapping, 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 zapping all day long. And in order to keep your biofield strong, you need minerals and electrolytes. And we use a product called the pH minerals. It kind of tastes like really strong ocean water, and you just put a few drops in your water and it just like brings this electric charge to your body. If you could see it, if we ran it through a machine that measures frequency, it would be really high. And so, and pink salt, like Himalayan or air dried sea salt, like that has so many different functions in the body, but the electrolytes and the salt and the hydrogen ions and the hydration is what keeps your biofield strong. So there are things you can take and do to keep your biofield strong, but I think that the doing or the undoing of the destroying of the biofield are the easiest to do. You know, my tagline is simple solutions for health. You can put stickers on your devices that erase the harm, and they turn your phone from killing you into healing you, or your tablet from destroying your biofield into keeping it intact. And they're little stickers and they have quantum physics in them, and they're basically just shrinking the harmful energy field that's coming out of your device so that it's not frying or radiating you all day. Going to the beach, the electrons, the hydration, the ionic exchange of the water, I believe without knowing it, that is why surfers are so addicted to surfing, to going in the water, because it's like the water. And that's why we're all like the beach. Like we feel so much better when we're at the beach because we get the earth energy and we purge all our toxins and we recharge our body. And that is why it's so magical, because life is constantly breaking everything down. So the biofield has to stay intact. And my clients keep their biofield intact by taking the minerals and the salts. And then we at the very first session, you're not allowed to leave until we do the EMF remediation stickers on at least your phone. You know, ideally you do all your devices and you do your Wi-Fi router and your cable modem and your desktop too. And it becomes, I mean, the stickers for one device, not saying that everyone has to get them from me, but they're $35. Your phone costs $800 to $1,000. $35 is insignificant. When you do all your devices, it's a couple $100. It is, but you know what? It's a one-time purchase and you can have your health back. So it's just an important factor. And because during this Corona time, they have uploaded 5G to so many towers. I drove by a street that's between where I think you live and where my clinic is. And on that one street, there were 4 5G towers. And so think about how many people need those towers are radiating. Yeah.
Which street is that, Julie?
Oh, 190th.
We're on 190th.
Well, I'm going to send out a newsletter within the next week that will show the picture of the non-5G tower and the 5G. It's almost like they have these missiles. They're like if the tower's this big, there are like these little missiles like wrapped around it in the middle. They're these long or submarine looking things or like bullets, those are the 5G towers. And so Vastu is a technique that I do to the home and to the environment. It is the same, it has the same kind of benefit as the stickers do on the one device, but to your whole environment. And there's actually a remediation technique for these 5G towers that might happen soon. So, because the 5G tower is going to destroy so many people's health. But we're not allowed to talk about that. As soon as you post a video about that, they take it down. As soon as you talk about it, people think you're crazy. But if you read up on real information on 5G, because when you look online, you'll find, oh, it's no big deal, your phone's going to run better, da da da. But if you really look for the right information, it said that 5G is like standing inside a microwave, and worse than that, and just makes the energy like chaotic. So if you add that into the mix during the coronavirus time, you're destroying people's biofields like that within miles of that tower. And so when your biofield is not intact, you're more vulnerable to anything, really. So it's
Wow.
just, it's part of the process that they're not talking about. And it's a real thing. And, you know, we have remedies for that. And it's the kind of thing people should ask on an individual basis, because as soon as we post anything about that, we are told to take it down. And so we stay in the safe zone of not posting things that go against what they want you to know and what they don't. So, but there's Vastu. We have a couple of blogs on my website that are free about Vastu, and there's a do-it-yourself Vastu you can download to at least kind of set up your environment, your home, your office a little bit better. The places where you spend the most time should have healing energy. I have a salt lamp over here, just though that's, you know, we have different, like your spiritual statues, your Buddhas or your crystals or what, like all of those hold energy in them. And if you space them out in such a way around your kind of perimeter, you can heal your environment in your home. And then there's some other things you can do too.
Yeah, I've always been attracted to amethysts, and coincidentally, I'm on a street that is named that.
Okay.
But I have them all over. I have them thrown in my car. I have them thrown on my bed. Like, people don't know, but they're all over the place.
Yeah, and so there are healing powers in crystals, and yeah, it's part of that is like the intuition. Like if you're called to it, it's doing something. You know, people will come in all the time and be like, I do this, does that work? Yes, like everything works.
Yeah.
It's not just a placebo effect. Like there are so many different ways to get energy and to have energy healing, from things you put on you or in your pockets or in your body, wearing on your hair. We have necklaces that block 5G. We have so many different things. Like there's an endless supply of tools you can use to strengthen your body, strengthen your environment, and heal yourself. You just have to dip your toe and be willing to try something.
Yes, definitely. Okay. And I know we talked briefly before about organ and lymph detox, how it was much needed for anyone because they need like an oil change. I don't think we went into like a lot of detail, like how long do they usually last? How often should you do them? Anything like that?
Well, traditionally, detox is great to do at the beginning of the summer and the end of the summer, because we tox in the summer generally, maybe not as much this year, or maybe more because you're locked in your house. But the spring and the fall are the great times to do a detox. But where you're like focused, I am going to detox my organs and give myself an oil change. And I put together a handful of years ago with a couple of dietitians that worked for me, our own detox program. We call it the Simple Solutions Detox. And it has products in it for your liver, your gallbladder, your kidneys, your lymph. And then it has easy to digest protein. And then what it doesn't have is soy, dairy, corn, wheat, and heavy sauces and sugars and things like that. So you eat really super clean, and you take products that flush out all the assembly line organs and glands. That's really what a healthy detox should be. There are people that do juice fast and they think that they're detoxing. Yes and no. There's a remove and a repair that needs to happen. And when you're doing a juice fast, you're mostly just removing. You're not repairing your organs. You're taking out heavy foods and all those things I just said because you're just drinking juice. But does it repair? Not necessarily. Your organs are always trying to filter them out because energy is always in motion. And things are coming in and going out on a daily basis. It's like a checking account, money in, money out, toxins in, toxins out. That's why we poop. It's the waste. It's coming out of us. But, we sweat, we pee, we poop, it comes out in acne. That's how the body purges. So to detox on a regular basis and to heighten your body's ability to detox on a regular basis, that's the key. And so we use castor oil, and I have people put it on, because castor oil, the one that we sell, is around $13 for a bottle that will probably last the average person 2 or 3 months. You can use it like 30 times. So super easy, inexpensive, and effective. And you don't have to drink it like your grandma did. You rub it on your body. So like under the right breast area, these ribs is where the liver and the gallbladder hangs out. The lower back is the kidneys. The lower belly, we pretty much know, is the intestines. So I have people put castor oil on all of those and then get in the shower. And when you're done with your shower, you gave all your organs a treatment. So a detox can be as simple as that. A generic detox, customizing it to someone, is what I do in a one-on-one basis. Like someone constantly gets a headache because their right kidney is just stressed out and not working. I'm going to really boost the efficiency of their right kidney. And then their body will do a better job detoxing. So a detox program comes in many ways, shapes, and forms. Even tapping, I have on our website, we have a tapping and swiping sheet you can download. Tapping your organ, it's like when you beat the dust out of a pillow, like all the dust comes flying out. Like you're tapping your liver, you tap your kidney, you tap your organs. You're like working out the organs and like getting all the waste to come out of them. So that's another way to do a gentle detox. But most store-bought detox programs are only focused on the liver and maybe the intestines, one or the other or both. I have never seen the lymph and the gallbladder and the kidneys included ever, other than the program that I created. And it's a shame because most people's lymph or kidneys are the problem. And because I call the detox system an assembly line because it's an assembly line. So if one part is sluggish, it backs everything else up. So if your kidney is sluggish and you do a liver detox you do a detox that addresses your liver, you're going to be dumping more, you're going to be burning through your liver and dumping way more junk into your kidney. And you're basically just going to have more kidney problems. So, and if you think about the last time I visited somebody in a hospital a couple of years ago that was ended up passing, they were in a research study for a new drug that didn't work. But the thing was that their number one concern was, because his kidneys are failing, we can't give him the nutrition he needs to heal. And I realized that is what sounds true so often for people in the hospital. Their kidneys fail, their kidneys fail, their kidneys fail. So, and then the kidneys, energetically, or Chinese medicine, I think, are connected to the ears. So think about everyone whose kids has ear infections. That is the kidneys being weak. I have adults that have ear infections or ear pain. Every time goes right back to the opposite kidney. And so if we have sluggish kidneys all of our lives, of course we're going to have it if someone's on their deathbed in the hospital and then they can't treat them. So constantly flushing out these organs is essential. And, not just one organ, the whole system. And I can give you a nutrient that covers your liver, gallbladder, kidneys, intestines, and lymph, but that's 5 different products, and we didn't even do antioxidants and digestive support and anything else. And most people are just not willing to do that many. So again, simple solutions: castor oil, tapping and swiping. Soaking in the ocean is one way that we purge, and it like lightens up the lymph, which therefore supports lightening up the kidney. And you go from there. And then, people can do a more customized thing after that. But everyone that does those things I just mentioned, EMF remediation on the phone at minimum, tapping, swiping, going to the beach and soaking, or we have ocean salts we sell that you can put in a bucket. So hundreds of people that never do anything with me more than purchase those from our clinic, and they all improve in their health. So very little things that you can do that give you a huge result. It's possible.
Okay. Wow. I knew having you for a second podcast was needed. You just have so much great information. I love it. Like all of this was just amazing. Let's see.
I think I answered the question. The question was about the detox. So I think
Yes.
I think I beat it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did. Definitely. You definitely answered it. Let's see. Is there any final thoughts or things that you want to share with everyone?
I think that, my final thoughts are something that I covered most of it already in today's podcast, from how easy it is to heal. Don't be fooled by the media that it's so hard and you can't do it and you can't afford it and you have to take 80 million pills and you have to work out for hours. Like, it's really not. If you think that that's the only way to do it, then I really want you to just like sit quietly and breathe every day and just ground yourself and dip your toe in something you have not tried. Try something new. We tell it to our kids. My kid is a teenager and I'm like, what do you like to do? Try something. Let's find a new hobby for you, because there's no regular hobbies. Let's find something different right now. Do it for yourself. Like, figure this out. Like, try something, and it's called healthcare. The medical system is called illness care. Don't wait until you have a problem. Start now and just be in charge for yourself. So, and the things I said, the EMF remediation for the phone, and a couple of basic little like energizing things for your biofield, and you're on your way for not that much money and not that much effort, and you can do it.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you, Julie, for coming on again. It was such a treat to have you on. So thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope you guys all have a healthy day.